us for book club today. We are reading Rich Dad's Guide to Investing, chapters 8 through the end of 14. And David will be leading our conversation. So take it away there, my friend.
Yes. So in the first few chapters, we talk about basically how boring an investment is and how important it is to have a good plan and stick to the plan.
Right.
So he kind of, and it's really funny how he kind of like goes through this. So getting rich is automatic. So if you have a good plan, stick to it. That's investor rule 8. Or that's lesson 8, excuse me. Lesson 9 is how can you find the plan that is right for you? That one was hard for me. Take your time. Ask yourself, what do I want from this gift of life? Don't talk to anyone for a while. And then never too late to start, obviously. And then call it an investment investor. Which of those really hit you guys?
So right now, Steve, I don't know if you took this away from the conference as well, but it seemed like the theme through the entire conference all week was it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so coming up with the plan and sticking to it. I mean, just yesterday, you and I were evaluating in a house and we were like, well, we could make X, but X isn't the bottom line in our plan. And so for me, I think the next 6 months through the year, I guess 7 months through the year.
Can I call a timeout? What's this con that I keep hearing about? I may just be an inexperienced, or maybe I'm not an agent.
Or the event,
a conference.
What's the name of it?
Shareholders. It was a shareholders conference.
Yeah.
Because when you're an EXP, you're shareholders, baby. You own the company.
That's
own
right.
It.
You own it, my friend. But that was the consistent theme through in almost every single class that I took was stop chasing all the shiny objects, stop trying to get rich quick, stop trying to make it happen overnight. Think about if you would have stuck to a plan, started it 10 years ago, where you would be today if you would have that plan. And so I am spending the next 2 weeks, and Natalie and I even talked about this yesterday on her coaching call with me, was we're going to revamp and we are rewriting our 135s and we are going to come up with a plan and start with some accountability. So for me, it was just a nice reiteration of everything that I kind of heard, the book and the conference just kind of going hand in hand there.
Good.
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
I mean, it's the same. I was just going to say the realtors that were up there, like all of them, like the hot shots that we all think that they're hot shots because we think that they, chase shiny objects, but they don't. They just kind of look sexy on stage because they're winning. That's why they look sexy. And then you find out they're sexy because they don't do anything sexy.
Right.
That's why they're sexy. Is what it is.
Right.
Do this boring thing and do it all the time for a long, long time, and you get sexy. You're the one everybody wants you on stage.
That is hysterical. So, bringing sexy back is not about bringing sex back.
Exactly.
Interesting. I definitely loved how he kept on saying the precious gift of life. I mean, that for such a small sentence, it definitely took the whole big picture into account each time he would say it and think and remind you how much of your life you have left and what you've already accomplished in your life, but what you can still do in your life. And as a mother, like I thought of my child and I'm like, wow, I don't want her to start at my age. I want her to start now and be ready when she becomes an adult and have a plan then, as opposed to waiting her whole life to learn this. And so I really found that this book has helped me with thinking about investments for her and what she needs to do so she can be successful as soon as she is of age of being an adult.
It's funny that you say that, Natalie, because I read so many of these books thinking, how can I just cut their heads off, open their skulls and dump all the info in. So at 18, they have all of this, because what they are learning in school is
Oh.
shit.
And shit.
I can't help but think the same thing, like signing her up for kindergarten next year, of how, gosh, here comes the day-to-day, same every single day, trying to accomplish your 9 months of school so that you can enjoy your summer. And like, I know I didn't really care for it as a kid or a teenager. So here I am making her do the same exact thing to check that box of a high school education or elementary education. Whereas what she needs to learn to be successful is something that she can't get from her teachers or from the school.
Right. So one thing that this actually makes me think of is so Robert kind of talks about in this book very often, the importance of education and also the importance of experience. And I feel like so Laura, what you and Steve were talking about, so the shareholder summit, you guys have been through it before, but as you guys start to educate yourself and as you guys start to experience different things, once you get to those same type of events that you've been to before, you're just like, whoa, I understand it differently now, And so chapter 10 for me, decide now what you want to be when you grow up, where he really just talks about like having a plan, going back to security, comfortability, and being rich. I think the reason Robert was so angry with like Rich Dad when he basically made him come up with a plan for security was because he was kind of pigeonholed into that from childhood and was trying to like get away from it. And now Rich Dad is like, nope, here you go.
Well, it was a good reminder of baby steps, right? Like when he starts talking about the education, the experience, the extra money for your investing strategies, and then stepping stones. I think so many of us look at, oh my God, I want to get rich quick because somebody invested in Bitcoin, and we weren't invested with them when they were in at a penny. And now it's worth, whatever it's worth today, and they're sitting on millions. To us, it feels like they got rich quick, but they didn't. I mean, Bitcoin took 10 years to get where it is today.
Exactly.
But
$27,302 per Bitcoin.
I knew it was right under 30, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was
right now.
And I think
I have that on my phone. Actually, I track Bitcoin.
I own Bitcoin, and I'm losing my ass, right?
Depends on when you bought it.
Right. Well, we bought it, we had it a long time ago, but of course that got sold, and then, it is what it is. But, I think a lot of us lose sight of how long it actually does take most people to get there, because it feels like it happens overnight. You look at Steve Jobs, he was inventing the computer for a long time. He had a plan, he stuck to it. That was his currency, that was his investment. He invested in himself. And, all of a sudden there was the computer, and now we just see it blow up, but we didn't see the iceberg under the water, the preparation under the water. And so I think for me, it's just a really good reminder that there's steps, and I got to be secure before I can be wealthy.
And again, this parallels the conference that we went to. You see all those people up on stage, like Gogo. Like Gogo didn't land on top of the mountain. Gogo was she was in that building, that security mode first, and then she moved up. It's like nobody lands on the mountain. Like you've got to have A and B before you get to C, and everybody just sees C and they want to get there.
Yes. My claim to fame for the conference, Gogo and I were both dancing in the big tent presentation, the second one. And of course I was walking in dancing, and I'm right into Gogo. I was like, oh, I just touched Gogo.
I haven't taken a shower yet.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe her social media experience will stay on me.
It's working. I see it already. So it's funny that you see Steve Jobs, because even though he, is one of the richest person alive, he still didn't have enough money to stay alive forever. And I think that adds a lot of value to what we're reading is like, not only is it about the end results of becoming rich, but it's the journey too of enjoying where you're at today, because you never know when it could be all taken away from you. So I can't tell you how many times I've thought about Steve Jobs from reading this book, since reading that part of the book, and just, you know, what I'm doing in my day-to-day life, and how money won't pay for eternity. That's for sure.
Right. So, what do you guys
guys? Gosh.
what do you guys think about each plan having its own price, and kind of the difference between thinking of so there's a price difference between every plan, but it's measured by time. How does this change how you guys go about doing your plan? So, like, for instance, he talks about making a plan not only for how you're going to get rich, but what's going to happen when you have a little bit of money to be comfortable. What happens, you know, how do you define security, you know? And then this kind of almost defines different layers. And he even talks about, you know, once you've kind of gone through and done those plans, those little splurges that you have, and you start getting guilty about it. It's like, well, you've already planned for that. So a lot of the times you don't even run into those same thoughts. So his aptitude questions: are you willing to set in place an investment plan to cover your financial needs to be secure and comfortable? And are you willing to invest the time to learn how to invest at the rich level?
What is your question again?
Those two questions.
His questions?
Correct.
Got it. I was very confused for a half second.
Yes.
So for me, I think the answer is yes. And for me, I think having a plan for every aspect of your life, right? So why don't I get up in the morning and work out? I don't have a fucking plan. Right.
Yes.
So like at 6 o'clock in the morning, my eyes wake up and I'm awake, right? But I will lay my happy ass in bed from 6 to 7. And the only reason I don't get started is I don't have a plan.
Right. And so many people say I can't.
Correct.
Not I don't have a plan.
Correct. And it's I don't have a plan, and it's from a lot of times it's from past failures, right? Like I've done the get up early, I've done the workout for 6 months and see no change in my body, and you get discouraged. And so for me, not only because the next 2 weeks is like major planning, like it is major, like life's about to change big time for me. Just between, you know, this book and the conference, I think it was a good parallel between the two, because I think a lot of the messages and a lot of the things are the same, but I intend on having a plan literally for everything, like even how to shit. Like I want to have a plan for everything.
Girl, don't plan yourself.
Well, but I think if you have a plan, you can measure the success based on your plan, because your plan should have an outcome, right? If I do X, then X will happen. And if you're not hitting the success, it allows you to have measurable things within whatever that plan is covering. And then you can start tweaking it, you know, one little piece at a time. Like, I don't want a PMS. I don't want a fat person PMS. I don't like them. I want mine to go away. And I don't have a, you know, I'm not gargantuan, but I want my stomach to be flat. So I know that if that's my goal, I got to do 2 things. 1, I got to figure out how to do more cardio. 2, I need to do some crunches, right? Leg lifts aren't going to help my stomach become flat. And my day is going to start from the moment my eyes open with a plan, and not just for financials, right? Craig and I had a plan to make sure our marriage never failed. Part of that was date night. I will never get divorced, ever, like ever. Like it's just not an option for Craig and I, because there was a plan before we got started. So for me, I'm going to plan everything.
Yeah.
It kind of helps with the fear of failure too.
Correct.
So Steve, any thoughts? Natalie?
I mean, again, you go back to the conference and you go back to the stars, and nobody said, well, I show up to work every day and then all this miraculous stuff happens. It's these systems that they've built over the years. And I think it was Dan Beer who talked about, like, I mean, a system doesn't have to be something super elaborate. You could just say, I'm going to do this, this, and this. System. you build 2 or 3 systems a quarter, and in 3 years, all of a sudden you got a whole book of things and whatever. And so that's what all these people, and so it's the same thing as, all these buff people, you and I both. I mean, I got to chase this freaking thing off the front of my stomach. But there's a plan, and we just got to follow it. You got to come up with it and follow it. And I think Chap, I don't know if you were there for Chap Black Saturday morning or not, but I mean, that's what he talked about, was just like, there's a discipline to it. And I mean, Chap Black's like this. I mean, Chap Black could just like knock down a brick wall just looking at it. And he's like, would you come to me for coaching to be accountable and do whatever and have me be 50 pounds overweight? I mean, would you listen to me? It's like, no, it's like, I have to be disciplined. That's why people come to me. And so, and that's the thing that I got to work on too. Damn it.
Plans.
Well, and I think it's important too is to see success. So start with small plans. Don't make a big goal to lose 50 pounds because you're just going to be frustrated in no time. But make a goal of waking up every morning at 6 a.m. and working out 3 times a week. Like at the end of the week, you can see whether you hit that goal or not. And then slowly build up from there and make sure that you nail those little easy ones before you set huge goals of 50 pounds and then see that you fail because you didn't have a plan to get there.
We can't be married to the outcome. We have to be married to the process. Which
Exactly.
Correct. Because your plan can change at any point in time, right? Like the goal could be a flat stomach. Well, maybe I decide I like eating more than I like a flat stomach. So my plan might be just to be healthier. Right? And be, maybe I don't want to live that, that lifestyle or whatever. So I think to Natalie's point, she hasn't read the one thing. You should read the one thing, but she kind of touched on that. What's the one thing you can do today that makes everything else tomorrow easier? And she's getting up at 6 o'clock. That's the first step.
So as we start to talk through our plans, come up with our plans and, work our processes and fall in love with our processes, will anybody, if not already, be adding investing? And if you've already been investing, does reading this book change your perspective between investing and risk?
So a little bit to answer your question, it's been funny because I've been talking to my husband about this book a lot and telling him about where we're not investing enough and what we need to do. And then also talking about our daughter's, investments in the future. And so it's coming up in conversations, and he said he wanted to buy something. I'm like, well, we should not buy anything that doesn't increase in value. So that got pushed off the table right away. But it's definitely changed my perspective, I'd say.
Awesome. Laura, Steve? The question
changed my perspective. I
Okay.
don't really change my perspective on things. I mean, it's just it's that reinforcing thing. I mean, I've always been a kind of a Dave Ramsey. I'm not the biggest investment advice. I like to get at that stuff, and his investment advice I'm not a big fan of. But he always says invest on what you understand. I don't do crypto. So I'm not going to invest in crypto. I don't get it.
Me either. That's why I'm losing.
But it's like, but I don't get the nuances. I don't get real estate. I understand real estate. I understand index funds. I understand all that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that, I just need to dive deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm probably with Steve. I don't think it's necessarily changed my perspective, but I think it was in chapters 1 through 7 where he talked about investing in what you understand and all the different types of investments. And so I think for me, it's taken away my feeling of guilt. Like I grew up in a household where, both of my parents were secure parents, right? My dad invested in a 401k through his company. And, he's sitting on about $500,000 cash. Well, not all cash, but between what is in his bank account and what his property is valued at. And then he's got his Social Security coming in. He's got his money from his 401k that he's living off of every month. And then he's got money from being a veteran. He's disabled. And so I think my dad's like 80% disabled from Vietnam. He's got almost total hearing loss and I don't know if y'all know or have seen effects of Agent Orange and the effects of their feet staying very wet in Vietnam. But my dad's toenails are all like, it's really kind of weird and gross. And so, but anyway, he gets money from all of that. And, you know, he was very, very, very much in I need to be secure. I need to be secure. So that's how I was taught to invest. At 18, my mom opened me up a Roth IRA. And while I am doing the same thing for my children, my oldest son has opened up a Roth IRA. They put at least $1,000 in it, $100 a month. And my two and the twins will actually open theirs this year, because if you own your own business and you want to pay your children and you want a tax break, you can actually pay each of your kids $13,000 tax free every year. So they all have small jobs around the house and around the office that they have to do. They get paid. We kind of max out that payment and then take some of that money back from them to pay for their extracurricular activities. So all the extracurricular activities are paid for with tax-free money, which is great. We make them pay for that themselves. But the plan is at the back end of that, whatever's left over from the extra money that we pay them, like whatever, that's all going into a Roth IRA at the end of every year from here moving forward. And they know that they need to make at least $1,000 a year to invest in that until they're making enough to invest more. Now, do I think that's going to get them wealthy and rich? I don't, but I do know that it'll put at least $1 million in their bank account for when they get ready to retire. And I look at those accounts for me because I wasn't consistent like that, right? I started it young and there's some money in it. I mean, I'm not sad about, what's in the bank from that, but I've always felt guilty because I know other people who have had, true 401k type jobs, my age, they got $1 million in the bank. Well, but I don't understand how to invest that way. And I personally I think this book gave me permission to take that, that $6,000 or $7,000 that you could, I think it's 6,000 that you max out in my Roth IRA, and to actually put that in a house, because I know how to make that 6,000 grow substantially faster in a house than I do in a very safe account. And
you can't touch for another 20 years.
Correct. Well, you can and you can't. So
Okay.
I may actually take my Roth IRA and turn it into a self-directed Roth.
Good.
And then start using that to invest in property.
I'm getting my first check from my self-directed one. I have one.
Nice. And so, for me, it gave me permission to not feel guilty that I haven't followed the plan that 90% of Americans think is the right plan. And that's the become safe plan, or
Yep.
secure, not safe. That's the wrong S word.
So if you think about it, what you gave them was a little bit of education and the opportunity for experience, which should translate to excess cash. So that's a gift. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, let's see. So Rich Dad he finds out why Rich Dad likes to kind of follow behind risky investors. And it's all kind of linked towards everybody's view of investing has really come from Hollywood. What do you guys, how does this change your perspective on it, or like the way you think about investing? Not necessarily the perspective, but just the types of investments that you're in now are the ones that you're good at. How does that almost change your approach in those investments?
Well, for me, I think I'm willing to take a bigger risk. I think the ones that I'm good at, I'm willing to say, okay, well, let's add a second story on this floor, on this house, and bite off a $250,000 renovation, as opposed to, well, yeah, I'm going to go buy more crypto and, but again,
Right.
I will tell you why we lost in crypto. We had no plan.
Right.
My husband and I argued as to what the best course of action in crypto was. And mine was get in, get out. Let's make a certain amount, get out, put more in, get out. And he's no, I'm more in it for the long haul. And for me, crypto is too volatile, right? The government can shut that shit down just about any second. And I don't think they're going to. And I think that, you know, there'll be some good coins, some shit coins, but yeah, I think that's kind of my response to that is I think I'm just a little bit more willing to take risk.
But that was something that they covered in the book, though, is that people only invest in stuff that they understand and feel comfortable with, whereas there might be other opportunities out there that if you had somebody you trust, a financial advisor, to help guide you into those other places, you could maybe find something even better, but you don't have to fully understand it or you know, be in deep with it like we are with real estate, but still be able to play in that area to take more risk. And that's a risk too, is you know, expanding your safety of doing something you're not used to.
Okay. So I'll go back to Beerism. I hear him use all the time is he likens the building of his team and doing stuff like that in real estate world is like going to a casino. Like you go to a regular casino and you go and play blackjack, you have the odds in your favor or their favor, whatever. Said, but when you know the game better than anybody and whatever, yes, there's still some risk, but the payouts are much bigger. The risk is much smaller, and you just keep hitting, and you just keep hitting, you just keep hitting because you know the game, you know. And it's kind of like I think you talked about insider trading in the one of these chapters. I forget which one it was, but talked about that obviously there's bad insider trading, and then there's like good inside, and that's kind of how I feel like real estate is. I mean, we're on the inside of it. We know.
Oh yeah.
We know where the roller coaster is, you know?
Well, that's the big reason why I became a realtor, is because I want that inside perspective of being able to invest into properties and have that first opportunity to know.
Exactly.
Well, and I think, Steve, you just hit on a big point is when you're investing in something that you understand, it mitigates your risks, right? Because if you do get into something that seems like, okay, this is a good deal, and you know, we've had houses like this where this looks like a great deal, this looks like a great whatever, you invest, well, then you can minimize your losses if you understand it, or if you're working with someone who fully understands it. Like my financial advisor, like he lost a shitload of money for me, like a shitload. And I've had a bunch of people kind of, you know, look backwards over the last couple of years, and I've not had one person who's reviewed what he's done and gone, well, I understand why he did that, or, you know, this was a good idea. It's been right. And so I think he talks about this a little bit in the book, how you start to kind of outgrow certain people. And it's not that you don't like them or don't want to work with them, but as your knowledge grows, you become the expert over the people that are helping you as well.
Exactly. And so honestly, like investing from the inside and investor trading or insider trading are two completely different things. On the private side, the rules are completely different. On the public side, it gets a little squirrely, but even then you can still do it by investing from the inside, by understanding the company, understanding who manages, understanding all of those things. You are investing from the inside without illegally trading from the inside. So I want to leave you guys with investing is dull, boring, and mechanical. So the book he mentions in there, I'm definitely going to check it out. It's What Works on Wall Street by James P. O'Shaughnessy. It is the strangestly spelled last name. It's really cool. It's O''SHAUGHNESSY.
Made world famous by Key and Peele. There's Principal O'Shag Hennessy. Get your ass down O'Shag Hennessy's office right now.
Oh, man,
exactly
yes.
what you did.